Hey, greetings everyone from our home to yours. I hope that this finds you safe and well. Happy Sunday. Today, our scripture passages come from Mark chapter 8, verses 11 through 15. And in our scripture passages for today, the religious leaders of Jesus' time, a group called the Pharisees, are arguing with him and demanding a sign from heaven in order to test him. Jesus asks them why they demand a sign, and then tells them that no sign will ever be given to them. Then Jesus leaves, he gets on a boat and sets sail for the other side. While they're sailing, the group of disciples that are with him have forgotten to take more food, or more specifically bread, with them on this journey. They only have one left in the boat. They're kind of talking about it. And so out of the blue, Jesus says, watch it. Beware of the yeast of the Pharisees and the yeast of Herod. To me, it seems that Jesus was still thinking about the interaction, the argument that he had with the Pharisees. And when his disciples were, pulling out the bread and starting to talk about it, or the lack of bread, that engaged something in Jesus's mind, and he uses that moment with the bread as a teaching moment. But what does it mean to watch out and beware of the yeast of the Pharisees and Herod? Well, yeast, as we know in the Bible, is a metaphor for sin, for evil, for bad. And it's the idea that a little bit of yeast can get into the dough and it corrupts the dough. It feeds on the sugars in the dough, and it grows and it grows. It reproduces and grows even more. So then, to me, what this is trying to say, what Jesus is trying to say, is that we need to watch out for the religious and the politicians. Now, the Pharisees were a group of people that were blinded by the idol of their religion, the rules, the regulations, the guidelines, and it had the power that this structure created and the corruption that became from it made them miss the fact of Messiah amongst them. Their Messiah was literally in their midst. And they were missing that those rules and those regulations were a framework for their relationship with God. And so what a religious person does, and how I'm using this in the negative connotation, is someone who looks at the rules, who worships the rules, the form, the structure, the regulations, and uses those rules, those regulations, those forms as a form of power, and that corrupts them, so that they focus more upon those rules and those regulations, that structure and that power, rather than the relationship with God. And so that's the warning. It's the warning to be careful of those people who use the name of God, use religion for power and for selfish purposes. And then the warning against the politicians is that especially Herod at the time had used those religious people, those with the religious power, to influence him and influence him to the point of engaging in murder. And I think the warning is that religious people seeking power and politicians seeking power, when they work together to influence the power structures of one another, when they become so intertwined that it's hard to tell the difference between the religious organization and the political organization, and that the politician becomes seemingly religious, and then the religious becomes seemingly a politician, that's the warning that Jesus is talking about. And believe it or not, random Bible verses, I've gone, just line by line through the Bible, but rather timely, this warning that Jesus has given to us. The church and politics can work together for the greater good when it is the greater good that they are interested in. But if they work together for only their own selfish good, that's what we have to be aware of. That's what we have to be scared of. That's what we have to worry about. That is the yeast that ruins it. That is the yeast that causes sin, corruption, and all that kind of bad stuff. So when the church and the politicians and the politics are entwined together to where you can't tell where one starts and one stops, we have to beware and we have to run away. So may you, not just this week, but until we are in heaven, watch out and beware of the yeast of the religious and the politicians. God bless you. Have a great day. Grace and peace to you.